coming. I'd like to call this meeting to order, September the 14th. The Board of Directors meeting for the GTCA in the Spa Lounge at 8:30, the year 2017. We'll begin the meeting now with call the meeting to order and introduction. So we'll start on the far end. Go ahead.
Make a motion.
I called the meeting to order.
Dorothy Wells, General Manager.
Rich Delafuente, Director at Large. Richard Vasquez, Director, Tower 3.
Soheila Kugler and Tower 2.
Wade Weston, Tower 3 President.
Joe Purcell, Tower 1. Justin Mack, Director at Large.
Michael Critico, Director.
Richard Miller, Director, Tower 1.
Okay, so the first order of business is the approval of the open minutes for the June 15th and July 20th, 2017.
I make a motion to approve the open board minutes for June 15th and July 20th, 2017.
Is there a second? The motion's been made and seconded to approve the open meeting minutes for July 15th and July the 20th. I'm sorry, June 15th and July the 20th. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Opposed? It passes unanimously. The next order of business is reports and remarks. So I'm first up on that. So first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for all coming, and we've had a lot going on. We didn't have a meeting last month, but some of the things that we've discussed in the previous meetings are coming to fruition tonight to come to a formal vote. I also like to remind everybody on the 26th, we're going to have our next homeowners meeting to discuss what's up at the Galaxy. Give you a brief overview now. We're just going to talk about the capital projects that are in work, the current funding situation, where we are with the finances, and all of our R&R projects that we have slated. And we're going to open the forum and ask everyone else if there's any other projects that they feel are priority, or that they feel that we need to make a priority, and give a quick overview of what's going on financially here at the Galaxy and projects that are in work and where we're going to do on completion dates. That's about all I have. Other than that, we'll go over to the general manager for her. I'm sorry, the treasurer first.
Good evening. My name is Sean Curry. I'll be presenting the as of July 31st, the financial treasury report. As of July 31st, total cash in the deposit account is approximately $849,000. The balance of the R&R account are $4.6 million. The escrow account has a balance of $1.6 million. And the available cash as of July 31st, 2017 was approximately $7.2 million. I will continue on with the accounts receivable for July 31st, as of July 31st. The total receivables for homeowners as of July 31st, 2017 is approximately $3.4 million. Out of the $3.4 million, $3.3 million is adjusted to legal, $27,000 is adjusted to payment plans, $45,000 is adjusted to 1 month of past due. $854 is adjusted to the past due, and $50 is over 60 days. With that, the approximate $318,000 of payments made through the Common Cafe have been made. I will now speak about accounts payable. The total accounts payable as of July 31st, 2017 was $735,000, which includes all invoices posted as of July 31st, as well as all accruals. Legal invoices accounted for $23,000 of those. R&R accounts accounted for approximately $137,000, and the breakdown of the accounts consists of all invoices of 0 to 30 days, which was $422,000, invoices of 31 to 60 days, which approximately was $149,000, and 61 to 90 days of approximately $33,000. Invoices over the time span of 30 days or more are approximately $131,000. As of July 31st, we have 660 owner occupants and 415 absentee owners. Of the 415 absentee owners, 385 are tenants. Units occupied by tenants approximately represent about 36% of all Galaxy units. The July financial package is now available, and the August will be ready by next week. Thank you. This concludes the report.
Pardon me. Thank you. Next would be the management report.
Good evening, Mr. President, directors of the board and Galaxy community. It is my pleasure to provide the management report for the month of September. We continue to closely monitor the security statistics and take proper actions to address various offenses. The Galaxy is home to over 3,000 residents who have the right to enjoy the community and feel safe. Management urges all residents to report any incidents to security and management. I'm happy to report that implementation of the new SICAP technology now allows security to have a better documentation and reporting system. It transformed the traditional reporting process into a paperless, real-time solution and electronic record keeping. Security is now able to monitor and enforce speed limits in the garage thanks to the new LiDAR speed detection gun, which offers superior performance, greater range to target, faster acquisition time, and image resolution of plates at longer distances, providing a comprehensive video record of speed enforcement and target tracking history. We urge all residents to be conscious and mindful of the speed limit at all times. Please help us in maintaining the safety of our residents and staff as a top priority within the GTCA community. As you can see on the slide, in the past month we had 61 speed violation, first and second offense, 37 parking garage violations, 48 incident reports, 2 physical assaults, 129 service level requests, 10 noise complaints, 15 hallway violations with fines for boxes left in the hallway, 4 hallway violations for decorations on doors and doormats. According to the FBI, active shooter incidents are on the rise, and there are now laws in place in various states requiring owners and managers of commercial buildings to incorporate active shooter training for residents and staff as part of the fire safety and emergency action plans. An active shooter training has been scheduled for Galaxy residents and will take place on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2017 at 7 p.m. where there will be a PowerPoint presentation as well as open forum to answer any security-related questions. The presentation will be conducted by Ally Universum and Gothenburg Police Department. The hallway redecorating project continues on schedule with 96 floors completed throughout all 3 towers. The project is on target for final completion in November of this year with 80% completed thus far. Interior signage installation has been substantially completed in Tower 1, Tower 2 and 3 and will continue over the next few weeks. All apartment doors will receive a new custom faceplate, backplate, peephole viewer and a wireless doorbells with 2 plug-in receivers. This will begin to be installed in September and will be done in several phases. More information will follow when a confirmed date has been established. The new walk-off mats have been installed in the lobby of each tower with the custom Galaxy logo, which has received many compliments. Tower 1, 2 and 3 floors behind the lobbies have been substantially completed. Tower 3 will have carpet installed next and completed by Thursday, 21st of September. The garage reconstruction project is slightly behind schedule with an anticipated completion in December. Preparations for the final stages of the garage repair work on the 11th and 12th floors started on Monday. Out of respect for religious holidays next week, installation of the new traffic coating membrane will commence on Monday, September 25th and will continue for 6 consecutive weeks. The work was staged in 3 phases to accommodate all residents with the least inconvenience. Each phase will take approximately 2 weeks. Schedule for painting the lines will be released in the weekly updates once available. Boiler installation. Installation of the new boiler and hot water system project continues on time. And we have a next slide that shows us an overview of the boiler installation project. I'm happy to report that original boiler number 1 was completely demolished, removed, and the new boiler is fully completed. And it should be actually put in service early next week. We're basically testing last phases. Boiler room condensate receiver and blowdown tanks were also installed. All heat exchangers received and in preparation for installation. Steam shutdown was performed and new boiler 1 venting was also installed. Boiler number 2 demolition commences on September 25th and it will take 2 weeks. New boiler number 2 delivery of the new boiler has been targeted for Monday, October 9th. Construction of the new boiler should be completed within 4 weeks. 2 new 8-inch flange OS and Y steam main isolation valves in pump rooms have been also installed. Boiler number 2 startup. We predict that once fully completed, it should be in service in November. Stormwater and sanitary flow. Management is working with the town of Gothenburg, Vernick and Arango engineers representing Gothenburg Town Engineers and A&D Engineering representing GTCA on the GTCA storm sanitary overflow and sanitary connection at River Road. Currently, Galaxy Towers has their stormwater pumping system tied into the CSO pipe that leads to the netting chamber. This was confirmed with a dye test last week with the DPW. Additionally, the Galaxy Towers sanitary flow is force main up to the regulator chamber. This causes additional flow in the CSO pipeline. As per the field dye test, the stormwater pump chamber is directly connected to the manhole in question in the Galaxy Towers S-level driveway. When the stormwater pumps are turned on, they are capable of filling the chamber and throwing the water 5 feet above the ground level. And most of you actually witnessed many of those incidents. This is hydraulically connected to the netting chamber, which increases the flow to the netting chamber. Additionally, the chamber prior to the stormwater chamber is acting as an overflow outlet. The stormwater rises through the both chambers and overflows to the slope to River Road. The River Road Hudson County Stormwater Collection Inlet is surcharged with sediment from this overflow and is currently not able to collect stormwater. The plan is to coordinate the stormwater efforts in the area that is prone to flooding. The town of Gothenburg is wrapping up the investigation part of the netting chamber issue. Currently, all parties are working on direction to take the Galaxy Tower stormwater and sanitary flows that will reduce the flow to the netting chamber, which will significantly reduce the current netting chamber overflow issue. We will continue to provide updates to residents as they become available. Electric service for the Galaxy residents is distributed by approximately 37 down electrical transformers, which convert 480 volt power to 120/208 for use in the apartments. Many of the transformers are more than 40 years old. 6 transformers were recently replaced in the last 24 months to avoid potential failure. 1 transformer failed completely, resulting in total loss of electricity in several apartments. As the transformers are a single point of a potential failure, testing is needed to determine which of the remaining original transformers are critical and which should be replaced in appropriate order. Electrical transformer testing will commence on Monday, September 20th and will continue through Friday, September 29th. Each transformer will take approximately 2 hours to complete. There will be no electrical service in residential units while the testing takes place. The transformer testing daily schedule has been published in the weekly updates. Employee updates. I am excited to introduce to you new employees. First, I would like to introduce to you Daniel Cabrera. And Daniel, you can stand up. I know you have a good picture of him. Daniel is a resident operations manager. Basically, he replaced Lee Klimansky. He's an FSR employee. Daniel is an accomplished hospitality professional and operations leader with proven experience leading successful hotels. With over 13 years of hotel experience and working for Marriott, Hilton, IHG, and other luxury boutique hotels, he is exceptionally successful at delivering results by recruiting and retaining top leadership and ensuring all resources are 100% aligned with the company's vision and strategy. Welcome to the team, Daniel. Flavia Vascones is our new part-time administrative assistant. She could not be here tonight. Flavia is a senior at Montclair University with major in business and communication. She will be assisting management with all insurance-related matters and insurance claims, as well as the weekly updates and any other special project as needed. And finally, Bianca Ferrara, our new IUS coordinator. She also couldn't be here tonight. Bianca has over 10 years of experience in construction and warehouse management. She's responsible for coordination of all in-unit service work. Management has prepared 2 recommendations for your consideration and approval this evening. The first is a recommendation to retrofit of the existing pneumatic check valves for Seward lift station. The pneumatic valves are key components to use the sewer lift station pumps. They prevent head pressure on motor startup. They also prevent hundreds of feet of sewer piping from backflowing through the pump's impellers and are an integral component of the lift station's mechanicals and controls. These specialty products are not stock shelf items. The Henry PATT valves manufactured by FW Web Company required for the lift stations were purchased over a year ago. Unfortunately, were not ordered with the required air over oil actuator for our application. Staff seeks authorization to purchase 2 new custom-made hydraulic sections from FW Web for the total cost of $17,632.94 and award installation contract of $18,480 to Rapid Pump, the lowest bidder, for the total cost of $36,112.94 for parts and installation. The second item is the 2-way radio communication. The site currently utilizes Verizon Direct 2-way cellular devices. All key Galaxy Tower operations support personnel and all security personnel are assigned these units. Due to the construction and layout of the buildings and parking garage, reception from these units is poor and staff is unable to communicate effectively, especially during emergency situations. Staff seeks authorization to upgrade from cellular service to 2-way radio communication to allow for better communication between departments and the following reasons. Number 1, service during emergencies. Call service towers and landlines may fail during an emergency or disaster. However, 2-way radios will continue to work during those situations. Additionally, all workers can be contacted at once as opposed to dialing individual phone numbers via phone. Number 2, lightweight durability. 2-way radios are designed to be lightweight and long-lasting. While some phones may require a protective case for use on the job site, 2-way radios are often built to military and IP specification, so they are less likely to crack or break when dropped. They're also designed with a long battery life, which many models are able to continue operating for 12 to 26 hours. Cost-effective, 2-way radios cost less than cell phones. There are no monthly fees, service contracts, or calling minutes. Also, several workers can share a radio, cutting costs by avoiding the need to issue one per employee. Communication clarity. Unlike many cell phones, 2-way radios are designed to offer clear communication in most conditions. They often include features that reduce wind noise and allow resistance to vibration, extreme temperatures, and wet conditions. Staff seeks authorization to award contract to Beamcom Wireless Worldwide for the new equipment, installation and service in the amount of $23,074.81. Thank you, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dorothy. We'll move on to item 4.0 on the agenda, which is unfinished business. The first item for unfinished business is PR7, the garage parking rules, ADA compliance, reallocation of reserved parking spots. While we've spoken about this for the past few months that we've had a meeting, I'd like to remind everyone that this is the first public reading of the PR, so it will be open for comment after.
I'd like to make a motion to amend policy resolution number 7, parking rules policies. Whereas Article 5, Section 1J of the bylaws empowers the Board of Directors to establish and enforce the rules and regulations for parking by the assignment of parking spaces to unit owners, subject to the provisions of the Master Deed, Articles of Incorporation, and these bylaws. Whereas in order to assure equitable parking assignments to the extended particle and to provide for a garage management program which responds to the needs for proper visual and activity control, the Board recognizes the need to establish a parking policy in behalf of all unit owners. Whereas the Board recognizes that the Americans with Disabilities Act and the New Jersey Barrier Free Subcode require provisions for accessible parking spaces. And whereas in order to achieve compliance with the Act and Subcode, the Board has determined it is in the best interest of the Association to arrange parking space locations so that accessible parking spaces are located near the elevator and building entries. And whereas the Board has determined to make certain other revisions to the parking garage policies to address current issues. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the following parking policies be and same hereby are adopted by the Board. 1. Parking rights and obligations. 1.1. Each owner shall be entitled to one residential common element parking permit for an approved vehicle, together with the rights of ingress and egress to the parking garage. As such rights shall be governed by the policies and rules and regulations adopted by the Board, as the same may be amended from time to time. An approved vehicle shall mean any vehicle that is 76 inches in height or less and 204 inches in length or less. If a hitch attached to the front or back of the vehicle, the length of the hitch must be included in the overall length of the vehicle. Vehicles shall be parked according to the classes of parking privileges established in this resolution, and so that not to obstruct or egress of other vehicles or pedestrians in or upon traffic lanes. Vehicles in excess of this size of an approved vehicle shall be deemed oversized vehicles. 1.2, there shall be 24 non-reserved, marked and signed accessible parking spaces to be located near to the elevated buildings and entries located on level 11 through 16. 1.3, there shall be a total of 10 reserved parking spaces available for oversized vehicles to be located on levels 6 and 7. Six spaces for oversized vehicles shall be in their current location and may be reassigned at the Board's discretion upon termination of the current permits. There shall be 4 spaces for oversized vehicles located on paired 1.5 size spaces as determined by the Board. These oversized spaces shall not be assigned until there is a request for the reserved oversized vehicle space for each paired space. 62 non-reserved spaces are to be available for the use by the patrons, employees, and owners of the commercial units pursuant to the amendment to the Master Deed dated May 2nd, 2008. 1.5. Parking spaces on each of the levels shall be located as set forth on the parking garage space location plan attached as Exhibit A. 1.6. The new locations of parking spaces shall become effective as each level is relined and painted. Those permit holders of reserved spaces whose current spaces remain as reserved spaces under the new plan may retain the space they previously occupied. All other reserved spaces shall be allocated based upon seniority. First in the time a permit has been held, and second for those who do not hold a permit. The time spent on the request for the permit list, which seniority shall also apply to all subsequent requests for reserved parking. Classes and number of permits. Upon proper application by a unit owner and subject to these policies, parking privileges will be granted on the basis of the following classes of parking permits. 2.1. Class A permits will mean and refer to permits issued to owners or their designees for a premier reserved parking space. There will be a maximum of 300 preferred parking spaces, and the board reserves the right to change this number at a later date. Class A permits are not assumable and may limit in the term and canceled upon 10 days' notice in the direction of the board. There shall be no more than one reserved parking space per assigned subsequent to this effective date of this resolution. Those permit holders who currently hold more than one reserved space may continue to do so. A unit with a reserved space may designate another unit occupant or tenant of the unit to utilize the reserved space. No tenants shall be assigned a reserved space. Class B permits will mean and refer to permits issued to owners on their resident designees for regular parking in the regular spaces, not otherwise set aside for commercial, reserved, or motorcycle parking. 2.3, Class C permits mean and refer to permits issued to the commercial unit owner or their designees for parking in the appropriate stalls. 2.4, Class D permits mean and refers to permits issued to motorcycles. Most motorcycle owners parking their motorcycles type vehicle in the designated section of the garage. 2.5, Class E permits will mean and refer to permits issued to building employees for parking their vehicle during their hours of work in the appropriate section of the garage. The board may resist, change, or pre-designate E permits at a later date as conditions dictate. 2.6, Class F permits to the extent space is available as determined by the managing agent. Parking privileges will be provided to visitors to the Galaxy on an hourly or daily basis and may vary from day to day. Clearly visible visitor cars must be displayed in the front left windshield. General parking privileges may be restricted or permitted during specific hours of the day and may vary from time to time as determined by the managing agent or the board. 2.7, Class G means and refers to permits issued to residents grandfathered oversized vehicles which allow them to park in spots which have been identified that can accommodate oversized vehicles. These permits are non-transferable. 2.8, Class H means and refers to permits issued to residents for oversized vehicles to be parked in paired 1.5 size spaces. Assessments and fees for parking. The monthly charges for parking permits will be 3.1.1 regular non-reserved parking for $120. 3.1.2 reserved parking for $175. 3.1.3 motorcycle parking for $55. 3.1.4 parking for commercial subtenants limited to 62 spaces is $120. 3.1.5 visitors of residents, $40 per week. 3.1.6 oversized parking on standard spaces is $175. And 3.1.7 oversized parking on 1.5 spaces is $262.50. 3.2 hourly parking charges are set forth in Exhibit B attached here to. Termination and transfer of parking privileges. 4.1 all parking permits may be canceled upon 10 days notice by the association. 4.2 tenant residents must obtain parking permits through the owners of their units. 4.3 no permits in any classification are transferable by any party to other except through approval by the board. 4.4 in the event the permit holder becomes more than 30 days delinquent in any installment of his parking assessment, his permit may be revoked and all parking privileges related thereto may be withdrawn. In addition, the board has the right to accelerate payment of all remaining installments and to seek any other remedy or remedies, including auto immobilization, available to it under the condominium instruments or applicable law with respect to delinquent common expense assessments, including the acceleration of residential assessments. The provision of Administrative Policy 2 shall apply to assessments and fees for parking. 4.5 reserved spaces designated for use by an occupant or tenant other than the owner shall be registered with the association identifying the person and vehicle designated for use of the reserved space. Section 5, restrictions. All parking permits and general parking is subject to the following restrictions. 5.1. Permits must be valid, current, and properly displayed. Anyone displaying or attempting to use a fraudulent permit will be reported to the Covenants Committee, which may take any action permitted under condominium documents and may, in its discretion, refer the matter to council for legal action. 5.2. Trailers, campers, recreational vehicles, boats, bicycles, sport utility vehicles, and other vehicles which exceed 76 inches in height or 204 inches in length or 2.5 tons gross vehicle weight are prohibited. If a hitch is attached to the front or back of the vehicle, the length must be included in the overall length of the vehicle. 5.3. Junk, abandoned, or other vehicles on which current registration and required permits and stickers are not displayed are prohibited. 5.4. No vehicles may be parked which display conspicuous for sale signs. Vehicles must be parked in designated areas within the marker boundaries. 5.6. Vehicle identification devices are not transferable and attempted by other than an authorized permit holder will void the parking permit. 5.7. Washing, waxing, cleaning, or servicing of vehicles within the parking garage is prohibited. 5.8. Repair to vehicles as well as painting of vehicles is prohibited. 5.9. Handicap designated spaces must be strictly observed. 5.10. 10 miles per hour speed limit, or, as may otherwise be posted, must be strictly observed. 5.11. Vehicle identification permit tags issued to the permit holders are and will remain the property of the association and must be properly displayed. The replacement charge for a lost tag is $25. A permit holder must file a lost report immediately with the managing agent in the event of a lost tag. 5.12. No signs, initials, numbers, storage containers, or any other additions or alterations to parking spaces may be painted, displayed, or created by any owner. This restriction does not apply to the uniform numbering or lettering system that may be applied to all parking spaces by the association. 5.13. Use of the parking garage and parking spaces shall be subject to the rules and regulations, a copy of which is attached hereto and made as part thereof of Exhibit C. Enforcement of regulations, Section 6. 6.1. Upon 10 days prior written notice to any permit holder, the board may revoke a permit holder's license to park for willfully refusing to comply with any of the parking regulations or restrictions. If any vehicle which has been found in violation of these regulations has not been removed, or if the violations have not been remedied within 10 days after receipt of written notice, the board may have the vehicle towed or immobilized at the sole expense and risk of the owner of the vehicle. In addition to the towing privileges cited in this paragraph, alleged or actual breaches of these regulations are subject to appropriate action by the Covenants Committee under the provisions of Policy Resolution Number 4. Notwithstanding any provision for notice in this paragraph, the municipality or the association may enforce local ordinances. For example, clearing the emergency access zones without prior notice. 6.2. The board directly or through the managing agent is responsible for instituting and procedures, applications, forms, control ledgers, notices, and other actions necessary to carry out the provisions and intents of this resolution. Such actions, which are subject to change from time to time as an administrative procedure, will be construed as true they were initially specifically for this resolution. 6.3. The board delegates to the general manager or a person designated by the general manager the power to impose fines or violations of Policy Resolution Number 7 and the rules and regulations in the amount of $100 for the first violation and $200 for the second violation. Fines shall be payable within 30 days of the date of the issue unless the fine is appealed to the Covenants Committee, in which event payment of the fine shall be suspended until such time as the Covenants Committee makes a determination as to the fine. The Covenants Committee shall have the authority to increase the fine and impose fines for violation after a second offense up to the maximum permitted by law. The delegation of enforcement powers to the general manager shall be in addition to the enforcement powers set forth in subsection 6.1. 6.4. The board delegates to the general manager or a person designated by the general manager authority to cause motor vehicles to be booted or towed from the Galaxy condominium property without further notice at the vehicle owner's expense for the following violations. 6.4.1. If the unit owner or tenant privileges have been suspended for non-payment of amounts due to the association. 6.4.2. Parking and a filing. 6.4.3. Parking in any location where parking of such vehicles is not expressly permitted. 6.4.4. Double parking for more than 30 minutes. 6.4.5. Occupying more than one parking space. 6.4.6. Parking in a file lane. 6.4.7. Upon 72 hours prior written notice of a violation, if the violation has not been corrected, or any other violations, policy resolution number 7 of the rules and regulations. Any motor vehicle that is booted for any violation described in the subsection 6.4 shall be required to pay a boot removal fee of $250 before the boot is removed, which fee, if not paid by the owner or lessee of the motor vehicle, shall be deemed to be a common expense payable by the owner of the unit for which the vehicle is registered. Any violators of this regulation shall be responsible for all legal fees and other costs incurred by the association with respect to the enforcement of policy resolution number 7 and the rules of regulations.
Okay, so the motion is made and seconded, we're not taking a vote, that's the first reading, yes, go ahead.
So this, I'd like to amend it. I'd like to amend it.
You can amend it now, this is the first reading, or we can amend it at the second reading. Yes. Yes, Richard.
Comment, I think we should.
Yeah, I'm sorry, can you speak in the mic? I can hear you, but right there.
I think we should amend it before it goes out. I think Justin's talking about the, you want to make the amendment on the reserve?
You can make the amendment now, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to amend this to keep the reserve parking fees what they are now.
Second.
Okay, the motion was made and seconded to amend the motion. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
That's a motion to amend, now we have to.
Correct.
Now we have to make a motion.
No, we're not going to reread the whole.
Hold on, let me read it one more time.
Sorry, we're not going to.
No, we're not going to. On page 6.
Do you have a microphone? I'm sorry.
Okay, on page 6, item 6.46 is a duplicate of 6.4.2.
Correct. So you'd like to make a motion to amend to strike
Right, strike
6.4.6. Second amendment motion was made. Is there a second? Motion was made and seconded.
What are we striking?
Parking, 6.4.6 is a duplication of 6.4.2.
Thank you.
So you make the motion. Well, all those opposed to the second amendment to the motion, raise your hand and say aye. All those opposed? Abstain? Did you want to abstain or yes, no? We're striking duplication of the, okay. So it's unanimous. So we need a motion to pass the second revision to the amendment. Well, we have the motion to second to the revised amendment.
So I make a motion to strike the 6.4.
No, I'm sorry, that was made and seconded and passed. We're just making a motion to pass the revised amendment as.
We make a motion to have the first reading of this amendment to policy resolution number 7 with the amendments.
With the 2 amendments, correct. The motion was made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So now just to remind you, this will be distributed. It is available. It's open for another 30 days. We're not going to take the formal vote on passing it. So we will make those revisions before it's distributed, and we will make sure it gets distributed so everybody has time to read it. I'd like to make a few quick pointers because it was quite wordy. A lot of it is just reinstating some of the current policies, but there are some changes. So I guess a few keynotes I'd say first is in section 1.6, which is relocating. and that is the seniority shall also apply to subsequent requests, and that has to do with the allocation of the number of spots. The limit to 1 spot per unit is the additional spots of the 150 units. All those who currently have more than 1 space will still have the right to keep those additional spaces. If there's spaces left, you can then apply for an additional reserved spot. Those on the list now, this should cover it, but this is only for new people applying for lists. Those at this time will only be eligible for 1 per unit based on seniority. That seniority is to be defined in the second reading, but the way it stands in the feeling on the board right now is it'll be based on your seniority of owning the unit that you reside in. So if you have multiple units, it's your current residence, and based on seniority in that residence will be the availability to pick based on reserved spots that are allocated within the resolution. Let's see, the other key thing we did rescind the change in parking already, so the other key thing is it's posted in the garage at 5 miles, but you'll notice the speed limit has been changed to 10, but there's a much more strict enforcement of that speed limit now, so it is monitored again, and it will be enforced at 10 miles an hour, so that's a change. There's a duplication. I think those are the key changes that we're talking to here. You'll have to look at the allocation of spaces. That hasn't changed since the last time we had a reading of this. Those charts will be available in the amendment, the attachment that we'll send out as an email, and we'll have hard copies available in the office. If you don't receive it by email, please feel free to get a hard copy. So we'll move on to item 4.2 in the agenda, which is the amendment of PR 15, use of common elements, mini park, towers and bridges. This is the second reading of that PR.
I make a motion to amend policy resolution number 15, whereas paragraph 9, this is the use of common elements, mini park and tower bridges. Whereas paragraph 9, first paragraph F of the master deed grants to every unit owner his successor and assignees a perpetual and non-inclusive easement for the use of common facilities located within the common elements, subject to the right of the board of directors to promulgate rules and regulations for the use and enjoyment of the common facilities. And whereas Article 4, Section 1 of the bylaw states the property, affairs, and businesses of the association shall be managed by the board of directors, which shall have all those powers granted to it by the articles of incorporation, the master deed, these bylaws, and by law. And whereas Article 5, Section 1F of the bylaws empowers the board to adopt, amend, and publish rules and regulations covering the details of the operation of the use of the common elements. And whereas on July 26, 1983, the board adopted policy resolution number 15, establishing rules and regulations for the use of the common elements known as the mini park. And whereas the board amended policy resolution number 15 on August 20, 2015 to extend the rules and regulations applicable to the mini park to the common elements known as the 20th floor bridge towers. And whereas the board now wishes to amend policy resolution number 15 to update and expand the rules and regulations applicable to the mini park and tower bridges. Now, therefore, be resolved that the board hereby amends policy resolution number 15, adopting rules and regulations for the use of the mini park and tower bridges areas as follows. Number 1, pets are not permitted in the mini park or tower bridges at any time. Number 2, radios, televisions, and tape players are not permitted in the mini park and tower bridges. Additionally, personal electronic devices utilized in the mini park and tower bridges, such as cell phones, tablets, and laptop computers, utilized to play, transmitted, or recorded materials for business, entertainment, or personal communications shall be muted so that sound is not audible to the other persons in the mini park and tower bridges. Number 3, horseplay and ball playing are not permitted in the mini park and tower bridges. Participation in active games or sports of any kind by residents whose children are not permitted in the mini park and tower bridges unless supervised by. Yeah. Let me change that.
You're gonna,
Yes.
that would be
Yes.
an amendment.
Yeah. No, this one out.
we're reading, this is the second reading, so if you're gonna amend it, we have to amend it after it's read as.
Okay. To play, transmitted, or recorded materials for business, entertainment, or personal communication.
Sorry,
Could you clarify that?
It has to be read as it was published, as we put it out. If you want to make an amendment, we have to make an amendment after it's read. So there are a couple of changes.
So back to number
Read it
3.
as is, we can't change it as you read it.
Number 3, horse playing and ball playing are not permitted in mini park and tower bridges. Participation in active games or sports of any kind by residents who are children shall not be permitted in the mini park and tower bridges unless supervised by a person of at least 18 years of age. The use of loud, number 4, the use of loud, boisterous, obscene, or offensive language or objective behavior is not permitted in the mini park and tower bridges. Number 5, residents who are children must be supervised or accompanied by a person of at least 18 years of age when the mini park and tower bridges. Number 6, there shall be no blocking of the tower bridges by any furniture, equipment, or crowds of people. There shall be no placement of furniture, including but not limited to lounges and chairs, or in the tower bridges. Number 7, there shall be no drawing or painting of graffiti or of any other form of drawing or message in or on the mini park and tower bridges, except the residents whose are children may draw or write with chalk in the areas designated for such activity. Number 8, there shall be no grilling unless in connection with an event approved and sanctioned by resolution of the board in the mini park and tower bridges. There shall be no receptions or parties consisting of more than 10 persons in the mini park and tower bridges unless in connection with an event approved and sanctioned by resolution of the board. It shall be the responsibility of the residents organizing a permitted party or reception to clean up all trash and debris from the reception or party by placing it in the designated receptacles or removing the trash and debris from the mini park and tower bridges. Number 9, there shall be no bicycling, placement or igniting of fireworks or placement of tents in the mini park and tower bridges. Number 10, there shall be no consumption, handling of containers or storage of containers of alcoholic beverages, beer or wine in the mini park and tower bridges.
Is there a second? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded, now it's up for discussion, so if you'd like to make any changes or amendments, now's the time.
And wherever it has been, the word children has been used, can we, in order to avoid any confusion, can we say children of the age up to 12? I'll make a motion to amend where we have mentioned of children to number 3, 5, and 7. Number 3, 5, and 7. So in order to avoid any confusion, to add the children under 12, in order also to make it consistent with the children age from this one.
So the motion was to amend sections 3, 5, and 7, where it says children, it would say children, the age is 12 and under. Is there a second? The motion was made and seconded. All those in favor of the revision, say aye or raise your hand. All those opposed, those abstained. So, did you guys record it? So it was 6, 7. 7 in favor.
Excuse me.
So were there any other, I'm sorry. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, Mayor.
Children ages 12.
12 and under.
And under, thank you. And Mr. Grifo?
I don't know.
There he is.
So unanimous. Are there any other revisions? Because this is the second ruling. This is the second reading of this revision. So so now we need a motion to pass the revised.
Motion to pass the revised.
The motion's been made and seconded to pass the revision to amendment PR 15, the use of common elements, the mini park, tower bridges, and all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion is unanimous. That was omitted. This is the second reading, so if you go back to the first, there were a couple of rules that were omitted from the original reading, so. Now we're moving on to new business.
I thought we just voted on the amendment.
We voted on to pass the amended resolution.
Just the amended. Oh, so, yeah, I was going to vote against it, so it's simple. I didn't.
Richard, can you speak in microphone?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we were just voting on the age limit here, maybe something else. I didn't realize we were voting on complete
We
mini
can take another vote if you'd like.
Well, I just wanted to bring up one thing. I just wanted to talk on it. You didn't.
I opened it for comment and amendments. I did.
I'm sorry, I missed it. I don't know why.
I'm not saying you can't speak, but I did open it for comment.
Okay, I just want to say one thing that I'm very much opposed to. Any kind of graffiti in the mini park, I think it sends a bad message that if it's allowed there, people will just naturally think that they can draw, paint any place. And because of that, I want to vote against it. So, I'm sorry.
So
my
did
vote
you want to
was
take a
recorded
motion to
wrong.
take a revote?
I'm sorry that.
It's fine, but we just need a motion. We can't just change a vote. You're going to make a motion to change the vote. We took a vote.
Okay, then I make a motion to allow my vote to be changed on this. No, I'm just speaking on it, and that's why I'm opposed to it. I don't think any of you are going to change it. I'll make the motion.
I'm not opposed to taking a motion to take a revote. We can
All
take a
right,
revote.
I
It's not a big
appreciate that. So I make a motion to deny graffiti of any kind in the mini park.
Okay, well, that wouldn't really be the motion because we passed the amended motion.
That's why I didn't understand.
So we can take another vote if you'd like to be, your vote to be recorded as negative, if that's what you're
Yes,
asking for.
and that's good enough for me.
So, okay, that's fine. We can amend the record to show that Richard would like to have his vote recorded as negative.
Thank you.
Yes.
I too had reservations about allowing any kind of chalk or graffiti. I felt that unprincipled, and I respect my colleagues and their position on this. I think it's a very personal decision, but I wasn't raised that way. I think that it sends a bad message. Other parks in the area don't allow it. Other public parks don't allow it. I think we'll probably be the only park that allows it. That's a private condominium park. That being said, I respect my colleague's decision, I think that we also, there was something missing in the, I guess a point of order, we had discussed having a 6-month review of this and see how it goes, or can I make a motion that next year we revisit this and see how it's being handled? We had agreed, I think we had talked about it in principle.
We did speak about parking, but as any AR that's passed, it can be revisited at any time. So if it's not working, it doesn't have to be 6 months, it doesn't have to be 10 days. If at some point the board feels that there's a reason to revisit this, it can be brought up next month and re-voted on again. There's no reason that this can't be revisited.
Okay, so I guess as a matter of record, I think we should revisit this next year, see how it goes, and just make sure that we have the proper controls in. Thank you.
And if we do feel that it's an issue, it can be revisited before next year. It doesn't have to be until then. But as of right now, it's passed as amended.
Okay, thank you.
Next is new business. 5.0, resolution of revocation of AR 14, the Executive Council.
Resolution for the reconvection of the administrative resolution number 14 by the Board of Directors. Whereas the Board, I make a motion, whereas the Board by administrative resolution number 14 originally adopted June 7, 1984, and revised on February 13, 2003, October 9, 2003, and October 5, 2006, established a committee known as the Executive Council. And whereas Article 5, Section 1, subparagraph 5 of the Association's bylaws authorizes the Board to create, appoint members to, and disband such committees as the Board deems appropriate. And whereas the Board has determined that the Executive Council is no longer necessary to aid the Board in its works and to enable members of the Association to contribute towards the welfare and lifestyles of all Galaxy owners and residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Administration Resolution number 14, as revised from time to time by hereby revoked as of the effective date of this resolution. And be it further resolved that the Executive Council is hereby disbanded and shall have no further function or authority to act as of the effective date of this resolution. And be it further resolved that any subcommittee previously established by the Executive Council is hereby disbanded and shall have no further function or authority to act as of the effective date of this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective on this date of this adoption.
The motion was made. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion's been seconded. We'll open it up for discussion. Does anybody want to make a statement?
I disagree with that. I believe EC is a part of the structure for the committees and is a mechanism for the chairs to brainstorm and exchange information and ideas among themselves. During the meeting, the chairs, they get a chance to discuss the practicality of the recommendations with the GM and receive her advice. They coordinate their activities with each other by eliminating EC. The committees have to report directly to the board, and the fact is that the board is already pressed for the time, and it is very time consuming for the board to meet with different committees and chairs. So I believe that before eliminating that, we need to put a mechanism to ensure that all the committees can communicate their ideas with the board and also with each other.
Yes, Judge.
I'd like to comment on this. I do believe wholeheartedly that the Executive Council, at one point when it was originally established back in 1984, had a totally different perspective of what the Executive Council is today. As I read, this has been revised numerous times, and it's gotten way off from what it was originally made for. There's a layer of bureaucracy that actually stifles getting things done in this place, and revoking this actually gives each committee chair an opportunity to sit with the Board of Directors directly and actually get things done. If we meet with the chairs or communicate with the chairs directly without the Executive Council, I bet you that you'll see a lot of people on those committees actually get what their actual intentions are straight to the board. We don't, there's so much disconnect from the committees because the Board of Directors doesn't have a direct link to the committees, and the committees are really basically there to help the board do things and get things done in the community. And there's a major disconnect, and I do believe that going forward, I mean, this is 2017, well, we can have an email chain with each board, each chair directly and talk 24/7. There's no reason that we need to sit down unless there's something legally, or, I mean, basically we speak now through email, and we can email with all the committees on a daily basis, never mind once a month, wait for something to happen. So when we ask a committee to do something today, which we really never even really get to do because we don't even speak with the committees directly, but if we do get this talk to the committee, and we tell the committee to do something today, then it's got to go back to the committee. They have a meeting, and then they got to wait for an executive council meeting, and then they got to wait for our meeting. It could be 3 months. Nothing can get done. This is directly going straight to the committee. It's going to empower the committees. We're going to see. I mean, it's really empowering the committees because you have direct contact with the board of directors.
Any other comment? And I'll speak briefly. I know the intent of this comment is to open a more direct communication between all the committees and the board of directors and to allow direct access so that there's not a filter in between. I don't know that this transition is going to be smooth, but I know that it's something that the board feels strongly about to give equal access and that the board has direct input from all the committees. So the motion's been made and seconded. If there's no further comment, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. We'll move on to the second of the new business on the agenda is 5.2. And that is the resolution of revoking amendments to ARs 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 13, 15, 21, 22, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 33, 34, 36, and all future administrative resolutions pertaining to association committees.
I make a motion to approve the resolution revoking the microphone ARs. Thank you.
I make a motion to approve 5.2 resolution revoking amendments to ARs 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 13, 15, 21, 22, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 33, 34, 36, and all future administrative resolutions pertaining to association committees.
Could you please name the committees?
I'm sorry, but we will take comment afterwards, but this pertains to all the committees and all the language that pertains to the executive council. So the motion's been made and seconded. Yes, Richard, did you have a comment?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
It's not clear exactly what this, exactly what this revocation, it's not clear what it means. What is it specifically revoking? I know I asked the other night, I have the proposed amendment here. It's not clear, it doesn't say anything to me. So if you could explain it in plain English, what you hope to achieve here.
My understanding is a revocation, each one of these ARs have an impact on the management control of an impact on the responsibilities of the executive council. So if we're going to go forward, if you have to go, if we're going to go forward, this is the understanding.
Do you want to approve?
Wait,
No, let me read.
wait, I happen to have the original AR you're discussing. It's relating to, because my board passed it, it's relating to the attendance requirements of committee members. What we did, right.
You're right. This, I'm sorry, and let me clarify this. This has to do with the appointment of people to the committees.
No,
I mean, to
attendance
the attendance requirement of the committee members
members.
and being released from the committee.
Do you want to see, you want it?
Sure. We can also table this until we make sure we distribute this and we get a little more clarification because we're not making any appointments tonight either, so thank you.
And also, I don't think you can include the Covenants Committee
Or the appeals.
or the Appeals Committee in what you're doing.
Right. So, yeah, no, I think, I really don't think it's my place to, but I would suggest that we table this motion until we get a little more clarification because it seems to be not exactly clear and it wasn't communicated properly to the board. So in my opinion, it's not prudent for us to take a vote until we're exactly clear of what we're going to vote on.
But I know the Covenants and Appeals Committee are handled entirely outside of normal committees?
Well, there's a few different, we can have this up when we open the discussion, but I'm sorry, let's finish the business on the agenda.
I move that we
I'll be
table.
making myself available, and I'm sure other people will, but I know this is a little out of customary, but I'd like to make a motion to table this, because obviously it's not exactly clear, so I'm gonna make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
I second it.
So the motion's been made and seconded to table this motion. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. The motion is tabled. We will get some clarification and define this much more clearly, and we'll bring it up at the next board meeting. So the next item of business and under new business is item 5.3, and that's the ratification of the vote for approval of sewer pumps. Management addressed this in their report. I can tell you it's a vital part of the Galaxy. Right now, we're currently operating with one operational pump, and none of you want to be here if it fails. So, literally. So we're approving to get the other two back online, because that would not be good for any of us. So I don't think this really requires, but we will make the motion and go through the vote. But
I got this one, I hope I got this one.
I think everybody's got this.
Motion to approve.
The motion's been made, is a second? No, it's to ratify the vote. It's already been, we already took the vote. This was an email vote that was taken to end the votes, and there were bids taken, so there were 3 bids taken on this, but yes. Justin, can you read the formal motion?
A motion to authorize, the ratification for a prior vote to authorize management to hire FW Webb for the total cost of, to purchase 2 custom-made hydraulic sections for the FW Webb for the total cost of $17,632 and an award and installation contract of $17,980 a rapid pump, who was the lowest bidder for the total cost of $36,112 for parts and installation.
So I'll assume that you seconded, Richard, since you mentioned the original, they just read some clarification on the motion. So I have a second. So we'll take the vote. All those in favor of ratifying the vote, please raise your hand or say aye. Aye. It's unanimous.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
It's Mr. Mack who made the motion,
Correct.
and Mr. Pasqua seconded.
Well, no, so hey,
So-
either vote, either one.
Thank you.
And then it was unanimous.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so item 5.4 under new business is the ratification of the vote that was taken to, for the residents' Labor Day party. Justin, did you want to read the formal motion? We'll have discussion after we have a motion. We can just make a motion.
Make a motion to ratify a prior vote to have a Labor Day party.
So, that's fine. The motion was made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. We'll open it up for discussion now. Yes, Richard, no.
How much money?
Do we have a final cost on what the party was? It was a very nice party.
We do.
I think.
I can give you a breakdown on that if you like.
Yeah, okay. I
Okay.
just want to say it was.
No. I think it was a great
Very-
party. I think everyone's entitled to know what the
Spectacular
cost was.
I think one of the nicest I've ever been to.
Yeah, I would agree, and everyone's entitled to know what it is, so I'll give you a breakdown.
Yeah.
The total cost of the entire, with all the expenses all in, was $8,992.03, which equates to $8.36 a unit. There were some guests sold and some tickets sold. With you take that out of the cost and the revenue, that comes to a total cost of $7.91 per unit, or the total expenditure of $8,512.03. So all those in favor of approving to ratify the vote, say yes. Raise your hand or say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Item 5.5 on the agenda is the approval to purchase 2-way radios for staff. That was also discussed in the management report tonight. But do you have the formal motion, Justin?
I make a motion to award a contract to Bearcom Wireless Worldwide for the new equipment installation and service in the amount of $23,074.81.
The motion's been made. Is there a second? The motion's made and seconded to purchase the two-way radios, and I'm sorry, Justin, just read one more time what the total cost was on that.
$23,074.81.
And that was the lowest bidder. We sought bids on that. I believe I saw one that was in excess of $100,000. So it was all over the board, and this was the lowest bidder. We'll open for discussion. The motion was made and seconded.
Well, yeah, I would like to say that one of the bids came in at $127,000. One bid was $35,000, one bid was $32,000, and one bid was $23,000.
And we're awarded to the lowest bidder. So I'm sorry, the motion was made and seconded. It's now up for discussion. Anyone want to make a comment or have a discussion? Richard, I believe you had it.
This is to purchase the two-way radios, okay, and what kind of contract? How many years, service, what other fees attached to it?
That would be a question for management. So Dorothy, do you have any other background data on that so far?
In the meantime, I'd just like to say, I think it's a very wise move because there was a lot of delays with the cell phones and they never worked the way they should have. And we never should have changed from the two-way radios. This is a far better way to go.
I agree, and I just as my general comment to this, I will tell you, not only is it real-time conversation between all the parties involved, it's actually all the parties in the conversation involved at the same time, so you don't have one call another, waiting to call another. If security needs to have maintenance react, they all hear it at the same time, they're all in the same way of communication. But I would like a little more clarification on.
So we're going to be purchasing 48 new two-way radios, so that way all the departments will actually be able to carry one. And there's no per se service contract, we just have to keep updating license to operate the radios. And that's $610, and we currently have one in place for 50 radios.
So I'm sorry, just a little clarification, that's an annual license, a quarterly license?
No, it's 3 or 5 year license, we still have 2 years on that.
Okay, so then that would be an additional cost of $600 every 5 years?
Right.
3 to 5 years. Okay, yes, Justin?
Yeah, I'd like to please ask Dorothy, if I may, that's also including a repeater, right? There's repeaters.
Yes, all the equipment that will allow us basically communicate in dead locations of the parking garage, anywhere that we just cannot get any type of service, yes. So it's all the equipment, not just the
I
radios.
just wanted the homeowners to know also that we did test this equipment prior. Dorothy,
Yes, we did. For the past 2 weeks, we've been actually testing it.
and how did the test come out?
I think all the departments were pretty happy with that. And most importantly, they're able to communicate in real time with all the members of different departments. So if we have a major emergency, you don't have to keep dialing different phone numbers and hoping you'll be able to get that person on the phone. You can just push the button and talk, and everybody will know what's going on and act much quicker.
Yeah, and I just wanted the homeowners to know also, in an emergency, this is basically real time, get in touch with everybody all at the same time, with one press of a button, everybody knows what's going on. Just in case of an emergency, that time is really, I mean, time means everything, and with those radios not working, if there was an emergency, people's lives could be in danger.
Okay, is there any further discussion? There's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of passing the approval to purchase two-way radios, please raise your hand or say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. The last item on the agenda this evening is item 5.6, which is other new business. I know that Joe had one. I'll get to you in a second with either one, but I know Justin, you have one too, so.
I make the motion to approve BDG CPAs as the GTCA's external audit firm for the 2017 audited financial statements at a cost of $29,750.
The motion's been made. Is there a second? The motion is seconded by Justin Mack. We'll open it for discussion.
Just want to say beyond that, this is a service firm. We are not putting it out to bid. We discussed this with the firm. We're going to get a 15% reduction in our cost year over year, so it went from 35,000 down to 29,750. My recommendation to the board is to hopefully pass this and next year put it out to bid for a 3 to 5 year plan, so that when we're putting it out to bid, we're going off of a base that's under 30,000 rather than putting it out for a multi-year bid this year with a base point of 35,000. So in hopes we'll get competitive bidding next year that may even get us more savings. Just looking at the history of this account, it went down from 39,000 5 years ago. This year it'll be 29,750. I think that gives a credit to having outsourced the accounting department in the organization, as the structure and the requests and the work that needs to be done by the audit firm is much quicker and easier and more efficient, so they're able to pass that savings on to us, and we're able to actually put some pressure on the firms to save some costs with that.
Absolutely, Justin.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for all you do, Joe. I mean, you really are the numbers guy, and the numbers are really living proof. Hearing the controllers report today and seeing that there's over $7 million in the bank, and knowing that when I got on this board a little over 2 years ago, we had just about $7 million in the bank, and we've done a lot of work in the last 2.5 years. I know the residents, we've put you through a lot with the hallways and the driveway with the sewers, and I mean we're doing a lot of work, and I mean having this accounting firm keep the boiler systems. I mean it's one thing after another. Still on $7.5 million in the bank. I think you're doing something right, Joe. You're doing a great job.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further comment? Okay, the motion's been made and seconded, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand. All opposed? Abstentions? One abstention. The motion carries. Justin, you had one more.
I make a motion to hang the children's photo in the spa, children's painting, excuse me, in the spa.
I'm sorry, can you guys please, we'll be done soon.
Make a motion to hang the children's painting in the spa by the reception desk going down the stairs.
The motion's been made, is there a second? All those in favor say aye, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. This is the painting that was done last year for the 45th anniversary in the park. It's been in the conference room. We're going to move it over into the spa lounge so everyone can see it when you go down the stairs before you go to the pool. That being said, the motion carries. If there's no other new business.
Motion to adjourn.
The motion's been made to adjourn. The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand. All opposed, none opposed. The motion is now adjourned.